In this video, I'm going to look at the types of decimals that we might see and how to round with decimals. So we've got two types that we're going to talk about is terminating decimals and recurring decimals. So terminating decimals means that the decimals stop, they don't keep going. Recurring means they keep going, but they've got a pattern to them. So we're going to have a look at a couple of decimals on our calculator and use our calculator to convert them. So I'm going to put into my calculator 1/2. I'm going to press enter. It still says the half there in fraction form, so I'm going to press my little arrow and it changes it to 0.5. That obviously then is a terminating decimal, so it stops, it doesn't keep going. The other way I could have checked that was by doing 1 divided by 2, and that would have given me the decimal answer there as well, so just numerator divided by denominator. The next one we've got is 1/3. So I'm going to pop that on my calculator. I've got my 1/3 written there, press enter, and then press that arrow. Now you can see we've got 0.333333333. It keeps going and it has a pattern to it because it's all 3. So we would call that a recurring decimal. And we can use a symbol for that to show that it's recurring. We can put a dot up the top there, or we can put a line. If we had multiple numbers that were recurring, so say if we had a pattern of 0.142, 142, 142, we could then write that as just writing the pattern and put the line above the top, or a dot at the start and end of the pattern. So that's a different notation that you might use for a recurring decimal. Then we've got 1/7. So I've got that on my calculator. I'm going to press that button. Now, as you can see, that decimal keeps going. Obviously, my calculator can't show you that it keeps going. It doesn't put a dot, 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 but the fact that it keeps going to the end of the screen and I can't see any pattern happening there means that it's non-terminating and it's non-recurring. So it just keeps on going and there is no pattern. Looking at some rounding with decimals, we have some notation here where we would say 3 decimal places, 2 decimal places, 4 decimal places. That's what DP means. And so when we are doing our rounding, we're looking at what we call the critical digit. So that is the one, we look at the digit that we're rounding to. So if we're doing 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3, here's our one that we're rounding to. Our critical digit here is our 2. So we're looking at the 2. Is it bigger than 4? And no, it's not. So that means we round down. So we would write 15.357 and leave it there. Here we've got 2 decimal places. So we're looking at the 7, but its critical digit is 5. That number is more than 4, which means we're going to round up. So that would be 5.28. So if we're rounding down, that number stays the same. If we're rounding up, we're changing that number that we underline to the one above. Here we've got 4 decimal places. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. The one next to it is a 5. So that means I'm going to round up. But in this case, you can see I've got a 9, and that means it would need to go to 0, which means I also need to change the 1 to a 2. And I can write the 0 or I can leave the 0 out there. Either way, that's how we answer that one.